A missile rises in darkness. No warning, no second chances, just a column of fire cutting through the night sky at 5 miles per second. In less than 30 minutes, it can cross an ocean. In less than 10, it can rewrite history. Now imagine something rising to meet it. Not a single missile, not a single radar, but an invisible architecture stretching from the Arctic ice to the edge of space. A defense system so vast it doesn't sit on the border. It floats above the nation itself. They call it the Golden Dome. A $175 billion bet that America can build a shield across an entire continent. The first layer doesn't begin in space. It begins in the cold. Wind sweeps across an empty white horizon in Alaska. Snow moves sideways. Steel cranes stand frozen in place. Beneath this tundra lies the front line of the new shield.
I'm standing in Fort Greely, Alaska. In winter, this touches minus 40 degrees, and under wrong here, the ground literally melts under your feet.
The camera drops below the surface. CGI revealing frozen earth, layers of ice, then solid bedrock 30 meters down. You don't pour concrete on permafrost, you defeat it. Massive drills descend into the frozen ground, boring through ice and sediment until they strike bedrock. Steel thermal piles are inserted, engineered columns that don't just support weight, but actively keep the surrounding soil frozen. The heat from future radar systems could melt the very foundation they stand on, so the foundation fights back. Steam rises as heated concrete is poured in sub-zero air. Every second matters. If it freezes before curing, it fails. From that frozen platform, something begins to grow. A radar tower the size of a building. Not just metal and bolts, an eye. The face of that eye is a massive phased array panel, thousands of transmit-receive modules working as one. It doesn't rotate mechanically. It moves electronically, steering beams of energy at the speed of light.
This radar doesn't blink. It scans the horizon constantly. If something lifts off anywhere in the northern hemisphere, this system will see it within seconds.
But one eye isn't enough. Cut to Greenland, another installation, another angle on the globe. What one radar can't see, the other will. Then the ocean. A floating platform lowers itself into rough Pacific waters. At its center stands a massive X-band radar encased in a 30-meter protective dome. Semi-submersible, mobile, silent. The Golden Dome doesn't just watch from land, it patrols. Eyes everywhere. But eyes alone don't stop anything. Several miles away in another stretch of Alaskan tundra, crews are carving out vertical shafts in the earth. 30 meters deep, 5 meters wide, 60 of them. Each one will hold a single interceptor.
When you look at this, it's just a hole in the ground. But in a few months, this shaft becomes a launch system capable of ejecting a 20-ton rocket into space in seconds.
Reinforced concrete sleeves line each silo. At the base, a violent mechanical heart. The launch mechanism doesn't gently ignite a rocket. It hurls it upward with explosive force before the engines even fire. Above, a 100-ton blast door seals the silo, designed to be blown open in milliseconds. This isn't symbolic defense, it's kinetic. The interceptor itself is a 3-stage rocket. Within minutes of launch, it leaves the atmosphere. At its tip sits something deceptively small, an exo-atmospheric kill vehicle. No explosives, no warhead, just precision. At a combined closing speed exceeding 25,000 miles per hour, it doesn't detonate near the target. It collides with it. The force of impact alone vaporizes the incoming warhead.
Think about that for a second. You're trying to hit a bullet with another bullet in space.
The complexity isn't just in speed, it's in discrimination. In space, a real warhead can be surrounded by decoys, balloons, debris, countermeasures. The kill vehicle must tell the difference in seconds using onboard infrared sensors and a radiation-hardened computer that calculates intercept trajectories faster than human thought. Test footage rolls. A target arcs across black sky. A streak rises to meet it. Impact. A flash. Direct hit. Back underground, a hardened command center hums to life. Soldiers sit before walls of data. Redundancy is built into everything. Independent power plants, backup communications, parallel control systems. If one node fails, another takes over instantly.
This is the brain. The radar feeds data here, the interceptors wait here, and when the system goes live, decisions will be measured in seconds.
The ground network comes online. But this is only half of the architecture, because missiles don't always follow predictable paths, and ground radars, no matter how powerful, are limited by curvature of the Earth. To close that gap, the Golden Dome has to rise. Cut to Texas. Heat shimmers above concrete. Inside a massive facility, rows of partially assembled satellites stretch into the distance. If Alaska is the shield's foundation, this is its factory.
You don't build 1,000 satellites the old way. One at a time, custom, slow. If you want a shield in space, you build it like cars, on an assembly line.
Robotic arms assemble satellite buses with repeatable precision. Kilometer-long wiring harnesses are routed like nervous systems. Infrared sensors are calibrated in sterile, clean rooms, capable of detecting the heat bloom of a missile launch from orbit. Solar arrays, folded like metallic wings, are attached to each unit. Krypton ion thrusters are installed, giving each satellite the ability to maneuver, adjust position, and maintain formation for over a decade. This isn't just surveillance, it's a mesh. Each satellite will talk to its neighbors using laser links, passing data across space at the speed of light. If one fails, the constellation shifts. Self-healing, adaptive. One finished unit rolls off the line every day, but before it flies, it must survive hell. Satellites are shaken violently to simulate launch vibration, then baked in vacuum chambers and frozen to mimic orbital extremes. Only the resilient move forward. Outside, a Falcon 9 stands vertical. Stacked inside its fairing, dozens of satellites packed flat like plates.
This rocket is more than transportation, it's cadence. Reusability means you can launch again in weeks, not years.
Engines ignite, liftoff. A column of fire lifts the payload toward orbit at 17,500 miles per hour. Stage separation, booster flip, a controlled descent back to Earth. A perfect landing on a drone ship. Up above, the second stage continues. Fairing halves separate. The satellites are exposed to the void. Deployment begins. A string of silver shapes drifts into orbit. The first threads of the Golden Dome have been woven. The satellites don't power on immediately. They drift first, silent, weightless, before solar arrays begin to unfold, panel by panel, like metallic wings catching sunlight for the first time. One by one, they come alive. A faint blue glow pulses inside each unit as onboard systems boot. Attitude thrusters fire in short, precise bursts, stabilizing orientation. Then the ion engines ignite, not with flame, but with a subtle stream of accelerated krypton ions. Invisible thrust, constant, efficient.
You'd never see it. But each one of these satellites is slowly climbing, inch by inch, toward its final orbital position. That journey can take months.
Unlike chemical rockets, ion propulsion is patient. Over 6 months, each satellite gradually raises its altitude to join a precise orbital shell. Above the poles, launches from California feed satellites into near-polar orbits, covering the north and south. From Florida, rockets deliver inclined planes that wrap around the mid-latitudes, where most of humanity lives. Together, they begin to form a lattice. Laser terminals swivel. A narrow beam of coherent light connects one satellite to the next, then another. The Golden Dome is no longer a concept. It's becoming a network. On Earth, back inside the hardened control center, operators watch as icons light up on a digital globe. Each satellite checks in. Each radar syncs. Each silo reports readiness.
What you're looking at here isn't just a map. It's a live picture of every object in the sky that matters. Rockets, satellites, debris. And if something launches, it will show up here almost instantly.
Simulation mode engages. Somewhere in a desert test range, a target missile ignites. Its plume is visible to orbiting infrared sensors within seconds. The satellites detect the heat signature, triangulate its trajectory, and push that data across the mesh network at light speed. In Alaska, the radar confirms the track as it crests over the horizon. 2 independent systems, 2 perspectives, 1 unified picture. The brain calculates intercept windows. A launch decision is simulated. Deep beneath the tundra, a silo door detonates open. An interceptor erupts from its shaft, clearing the surface before its engines ignite. It climbs violently, punching through atmosphere into the vacuum beyond. Stage separation. The kill vehicle detaches and activates its onboard sensors. In the blackness of space, it sees multiple objects, decoys and debris deployed by the simulated warhead. The onboard computer analyzes thermal signatures, shape, motion, cooling rates. It chooses. Microthrusters fire in rapid bursts, adjusting course in milliseconds, then impact. A white flash, simulation complete.
That entire chain, detection, decision, intercept, happens faster than most people can read a headline. Seconds. That's the margin.
But building a system that works once isn't enough. The true challenge is resilience. Launch cadence becomes relentless. Week after week, Falcon 9 rockets rise from both coasts. Each booster returns to land or drone ship, refurbished and ready to fly again within days. Because numbers matter. A handful of satellites can be blinded. A few interceptors can be overwhelmed. But 1,000 nodes? 60 silos with expansion capacity for more? Redundant radars on land and sea? That changes the equation.
In missile defense, saturation is the nightmare scenario. Too many incoming objects at once. The Golden Dome is designed to answer that with scale, overlapping coverage, layered response.
Back at sea, the mobile radar platform adjusts position. It submerges slightly as waves crash over its reinforced deck, stabilizing its massive dome. In Greenland, technicians conduct maintenance beneath a sky streaked with aurora. In Alaska, new silos are being prepared, larger than the last, designed for next-generation interceptors with faster boost phases and extended reach. The system evolves even as it operates. Above, satellites complete their orbital drift and lock into formation. Every 90 minutes, each one circles the planet. A continuous handoff of tracking data moves west to east, east to west, ensuring no gap exists in coverage. The mesh grows denser. In a final deployment sequence, the last batch of satellites separates from its rocket and fans out. The globe graphic in the control center fills in completely. 2 years after the first groundbreaking in Alaska, the final node reports green. The Golden Dome is fully operational, but its strength isn't just in hardware, it's in integration.
A radar in Greenland, a satellite over the Pacific, a silo in Alaska, a rocket launch from Florida. All of it has to function like one organism. If any piece lags, the system fails.
Engineers continue stress testing. Cybersecurity teams simulate intrusion attempts. Power plants cycle through blackout drills to prove the shield can operate off-grid. At end of life, older satellites will fire their thrusters one final time, deorbiting safely to prevent space debris. Sustainability is built into the design, because a shield that clutters the sky becomes its own threat. The political debates continue elsewhere. Budgets, treaties, strategy, but in the Arctic wind and the vacuum of orbit, physics is the only law that matters. Speed, distance, reaction time. A missile launched from across the world doesn't care about speeches, it cares about trajectory. The Golden Dome answers with architecture. From frozen bedrock to ionized propulsion streams, from kinetic interceptors to laser-linked constellations, it represents a shift in how defense is imagined. Not a wall at the border, not a fleet at sea, a ceiling, a dome.
For decades, missile defense was about deterrence, the promise of retaliation. This changes the conversation. It asks a different question. What if you could stop the threat before it ever arrives?
The camera pulls back. The Earth rotates slowly beneath a faint lattice of orbiting lights. No glowing barrier, no visible shield. Just machines, silent, precise, relentless. Every 90 minutes they circle again. Watching, waiting, ready. And somewhere beneath the ice in Alaska, 60 Guardians sleep in concrete shafts, hoping they never receive the command that proves they work. The Golden Dome stands complete, not as science fiction, but as infrastructure in the sky.
If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe and stay with us for the next report.